Joining us now, Brian Brooks, CEO of Bitfury, the Bitcoin miner. Brian, takeaways for the industry? Looked like the market liked it.
Sarah, there's no question the market liked it. And I'll tell you, this is a historic day for the government because this is the first time that the government has not just looked at the risks of crypto, but compared the risks of crypto to the risks of the current system and asked what could be better. That is a big change.
We just talked to the Commerce Secretary a little bit about it. I think also this notion that the U.S. wants to be competitive when it comes to digital currencies is interesting. It's a strong statement in light of what we got from China, which doesn't seemingly want anything to do with it. So what does that look like to you?
You know, it's really interesting, Sarah. I think a lot of people have taken the wrong lesson from China. So it's true that China banned Bitcoin mining and it banned individuals from investing in cryptocurrencies. But China's pursuing a different blockchain path. China's pursuing the central bank digital currency path, which means the government will build its own blockchain and they will dominate the financial sector for their people. And the alternative, which is being looked at around the world in places like Germany and the United Arab Emirates, Singapore, some of these real growth economies, is they're focused on how do we put financial power back into the hands of users. And I think that's the direction the president's executive order seems to suggest today, which is a very good sign.
What would you list if you were kind of saying, here are the things I feel are most important that eventual regulatory approach not take or take at this point? In other words, what was perhaps the industry most fearful of, or what would do you think be least productive if the government were to, take more aggressive measures?
Well, look, I think the things that the industry has been most fearful of for a while is that, first of all, the knee-jerk idea that crypto's new and therefore it's risky and bad. And what's really unique about the executive order today is it says it's possible that crypto projects might be more inclusive or better for consumers than the present banking system or the present investing system. That's a really big deal, and it's very different from how it might have turned out. And the other thing crypto people are very worried about is the idea that we'll move into a world, and like the Canadian trucker protest is an example of this, we'll move in a world where governments can just simply shut down your bank account, prevent you from using the money that you've earned the way that you want to. Many people believe that crypto is an alternative to that because it's a user-controlled financial system. And again, this executive order seems to be open to the idea that we don't have to go down a government-dominated path, that we might be able to go down a user-controlled path, which is much more consistent with our democratic values and really critical at this moment in history.
Has Bitcoin proven anything about its worth and use in Russia when it comes to navigating around sanctions?
Well, I mean, 100%, but less about navigating around sanctions and more about supporting the Ukrainian people. So, my company has 50 people who live and work in Ukraine and are currently on the run from an invading onslaught. What we've seen is tens of millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin and Ethereum principally have been donated around the world to crypto wallet addresses that the Ukrainian government set up. So we see how important Bitcoin is to refugees fleeing war zones. We saw this previously in Venezuela, in Bangladesh, and now we're seeing it in Ukraine. I think this bit about it being a way around Russian sanctions is really overblown, and even the Treasury Department in the last 2 days has said they don't see evidence of that for obvious reasons, and that's because blockchains are transparent. It would be way too easy for us to see that, and there's no evidence of that yet.
You mentioned that there was a sense there that maybe there would be a knee-jerk regulatory response because Bitcoin and crypto are new and therefore seen as risky. But isn't there also a legitimate criticism, or at least a question, that the prevailing interest, if you looked at in typical interest in this area, it is in speculation, and I think there's also some hesitation around products that are meant to look like traditional financial products, whether they are deposits giving you a high yield, that really are not as safe as the existing ones. And how do we navigate around those things?
Well, I guess I'd say a couple things about that. So first of all, the concept that crypto is principally for speculation probably made sense 5 years ago. But at this point, we've got payment networks being built around stable coins on various protocols that are so much faster and cheaper and quicker to settle than the current system is, that I think it's starting to become clear what crypto is about, and it isn't really principally speculation. That's really what all of these layer one protocols are showing us. I think that as much as anything, there is a belief that what we need is a path for crypto projects that people are investing in to be registered, to be disclosed, et cetera. And the strange limbo we've been in the United States over the last 5 or 6 years has been the idea that if in fact your crypto, then it's almost by definition illegal. In other words, if you're a crypto project that is a security, there's been no path to register your security the way that a traditional security would register. And what I take away from the executive order is we're going to fix that. We're going to give a government-wide path for legitimacy.